Hi, and welcome to Social Media Help Desk. I am Alexandra, standing in for Katie this week, and today I am joined with Taylor, who's one of our content editors, and Angie, who is one of our web designers. Hi. So we're going to start off with what's been going on in the news, and as everybody knows, this past week is the biggest shopping weekend, and Snapchat, without ever leaving the Snapchat app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so I was testing this out today when I saw that was in the news to see if it was still up. I never saw, it was called like Snap In. It had a really witty...
I think it's like Snap and Shop or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I didn't see like a feature of that, but then I was doing some more research, and you know where you would Shazam a song? Like when you just hold it down? I guess now if you are looking at a product with the camera and then you hold it down as if you're doing the Shazam, that's when it'll pop up and link to Amazon now. So no Amazon's getting in on it. But I tried it with like a Sharpie and the MacBook and nothing popped up. So I'm not sure if they're still working on this because I haven't seen either fully work on Snapchat for myself.
I don't know. I'm curious to find out how many people actually used it.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know if Snapchat's not the place I would expect to be shopping.
Snapchat's kind of on the downfall. I mean, more and more people are using Instagram stories and shopping. Yeah. If they are going to shop through an app, it's probably going to be through Instagram. But so I'm not sure who actually saw it or used it. It'd be interesting to know. Yeah. The stats behind it.
I also don't understand the point of using the camera feature because would it just be like, oh, so I see this in store, but I'm going to get it from Amazon instead?
Are you standing in a
product
store?
In store?
I don't know.
Yeah, or if you have your own stuff, you already own it. So it didn't really make sense to me of the logistics behind that.
I'm sure that Instagram and Facebook will find a way to poach it and do it better, and then no one will remember that Snapchat was doing it in the first place.
Yes,
they give us a lot of ideas, Snapchat, but
they're
never quite follow up with that. The other thing that's going on is that Pinterest is allowing you to have chronological scrolling, which everybody is going to love because it means that the newer pieces, the newer stuff that's been pinned, will be at the top, and then if you want to keep going, you can just keep going. Oh my gosh. Why have we gotten rid of these things?
I know, I love it. That's what Instagram got rid of with the algorithms, and same with Facebook. And I think that's probably, I don't know one person that's happy about it not being in chronological order. I'm not a huge Pinterest user, but I feel like just because of this, that whole scroll feature, it may be more convenient than searching around and there's tons of squares and blocks. I like just the one at a time. I'm in control. I can see what I've already looked at, what I haven't looked at. I like that kind of power.
It probably helps with the person who's looking at it too, because you're not seeing like so much stuff, and then also now if there is an ad or a sponsored something in there, it's easier for them to like, you're gonna have to see this instead of bouncing around the page.
Yeah, and we know that they rolled out the ads on Pinterest this year bigger, so we've seen a lot more of that.
So it's interesting. I'm curious to see how that goes too, because all of the other platforms went the other way, where they're giving you algorithms so that the advertisers are doing better, and Pinterest is going the reverse.
Well, maybe they were listening to what people wanted. Yeah, they were listening and took advantage of it. I think they're smart.
I think it's smart too. And last but not least, YouTube is rolling out some VR stuff. They have found out that they are now available on the Oculus Go VR headset. I don't know anybody in this office who uses a VR headset or has, but they are gaining some traction in, I got a hand from our videographer over there, he's like, I've used it. So it's kind of popular, especially in the gaming industry.
Right.
But I'm starting to see a lot of commercials where, I don't know if you guys saw this one, where there's these two guys who are watching it together from like they're watching a movie. Okay. And they're not in the same place, and they're talking to...
Answer me, what is the difference in this update than what we talked about last time, which was the live video reality groups type settings?
So that one is just, you can just watch everything live. VR is this little headset that sits on your face, and then as you turn your head, the things will move.
Submersed in it.
It gives you like a 180, you know how you can do like the 180 things on Facebook? It's kind of like that, except for it's on your face.
Got it.
It's a very immersive experience.
Can't you only then... I'm not too aware how this stuff works, but whatever you're going in, the room that you're going in, doesn't that room have to be filmed in that? Like, so aren't there going to be limited things? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
You're getting into multiple conversations, which is going to get way out of our social media conversation, but what you're saying is, yes, there are bound boxes.
It's not like you can go anywhere with them on.
Yeah. Right. No, well, I mean, the Go one, you technically can, because that's more about, like, watching video. I'm getting nods from our VR expert over there. Whereas the ones that are gaming, they are within a bound box because it has to understand where you are as a person. So yeah, they're rolling that out. They're also rolling out a creator tool because they're imagining that this VR watch stuff is going to get bigger, and so they want to make sure that they're on top of it as their YouTubers and channels start.
It's a little creepy. Do you think they'll start pulling out like rules and regulations with how they do like drones, or like where you can create this stuff or where you can go in and watch? I don't know. It just seems a little
like people just wandering around with headsets on their face all the time. I have no idea.
Like texting and walking, there are people going to have their headsets on, and
we're getting into like future stuff. So let's get back to what we're actually good at, which is social media, not VR headsets specifically. But good on YouTube for keeping up with the times. So let's get into our topics, and we're going to start with Angie, and you are going to tell us about how we can be creative with our blogs.
Yeah, so a lot of times when you think of writing a blog, you're like, okay, what's the subject line? You think, I got to write a couple paragraphs, I got a couple key points I'm going to highlight. There's a couple ways to switch that up. So one thing I suggest is adding some more visuals, maybe adding a gallery, a portfolio, a slideshow, something that kind of backs up your blog in a more visual sense. Mm-hmm. Some things that you could talk about are, if you have a group of products to show, or you have a team outing, or things that you have a lot of imagery for.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to like a carousel post, right?
Right. And then you want to make sure that you have the captions are very well written, so that's what's driving the post, or that's what's getting people to read or to click through to each of the photos and really understand what your post is about.
And the captions are essentially the context of the blog and the copy of the blog.
Right, because you're really just going to have like an intro paragraph, and then you're going to be displaying all the photos. So yeah, you're right. The captions are super important.
I see a lot of businesses now, especially products that I subscribe to that they're sending, but it's very heavy on the visuals because they're like, I don't need to tell you about the thing. I can show you what it is.
Right, like if you're going to go buy like makeup or something, you don't want 4 paragraphs about what it is, the ingredients. Like you want to see what it looks like first, and then you're going to read into it more.
Yeah, you don't read, and if anything, you read reviews.
Right, true.
Yeah. But you don't read about the product because they can say, my product is great, it does this, but without like actually knowing anything.
Right. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Another style you could do is like an interview or a Q&A. So you could interview someone, maybe it's a thought leader or a happy client,
a testimonial.
Yeah, so it's more so Q&A, and what I like about this is, yes, you're going to ask them the questions about the industry, but then I like hearing like the fun answers, like what's your unique talent, or things that like you learn more about the person rather than just rather than them giving you advice about their product or their service. I like that little insight that they give you. So I think that's always kind of fun.
Yeah, a good example that you see a lot of Q&As, or at least I did in my previous work, is in the action sports industry. Okay. A lot of online magazines will interview writers and team athletes, and they'll kind of do, how'd you get started? And that's always really fun to read through. And then that's when they do like, what do you do off season? And you learn like a lot about them. Right. But I see that a lot in which I worked in the snowboard industry and skate and stuff like that. And they would just interview riders and pro team members.
Yeah. I mean, those are the interesting people in that industry. I mean, you could also, if you're, a group like us, you could interview your own employees and be like, hey, we're doing a spot on this person today. Yeah. And we sometimes highlight, who everybody is on our Facebook. And that's how we like to write about, ourselves on our site. If you go, look, this is their professional background and this is who they are, So even if that's a way for you to be able to reach out and be real and authentic to your clients and people you're sending your newsletter to. Or blog or whatnot. Right.
And another thing you could do is kind of highlight the news like we were just talking about in your company. So things that, if you have employee promotions or product launches or, company transformations. Like we just had a SpeakerCon, which Taylor's going to talk to us about shortly, last week. And it was really great to not only, hear about everything that he had to say, but then to share it to everyone else to our clients about what we learned as a company. So I think it's super important for them to know that like we're growing, professionally. There we go. That's all. That's
where that is. You're growing.
Yes.
No, that's very good. I mean, it is. We kind of think of this stuff, we talk about things that happen here and when we did our rebrand, we're going to talk about why we chose to do it, and we're going to talk about if there's something cool going on in the office, and it's cool to share that stuff. I'm sure you're having a good time when you're in your office doing and something good happens, and talk about what that is.
But also all of these things also really help for hiring people, because people want to see that like, oh, we're not just working 9 to 5, there's no interaction, there's no fun, like there's a whole culture behind every business that is fine to share with everybody in the outside world.
We even have one of our employees here. We've had multiple people say that they watched these and were like, I could tell what the personality of everybody was going to be like by watching this and seeing all the participation. So yeah, And that does segue right into you about talking. Well, why don't you tell us what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, so as we said, culture is really important here at KWSM, you two know. And so every quarter we do team outings, we do birthday celebrations every month, and we're always looking to make our team grow personally and together. And so one of the big aspects that we do here is every quarter we have a professional business speaker come in and speak to the whole company, and it's kind of a day that we all get to take the time. It can go from an hour to 2 hours. We all sit together and there's a presentation by someone outside of our office. They could have something to do with business, they could be life coaches, they could be skydivers. Like we've had it all.
Yeah, we have. We've had skydivers. Hobbyist skydivers. They weren't teaching us to skydive in the office.
But you can learn something from everyone. And so I want to talk about our most recent guest speaker, whose name is Chris King. And Chris came to KWSM 2 weeks ago now on Friday. And Chris is an executive coach, a motivational speaker, and a workshop facilitator. And so Chris came into KWSM and he was going to teach us the tools, psychology, and the neuroscience of achieving high performance while living and working. And when I first heard all that, I was super overwhelmed myself. I'm like, neuroscience and brain power, and I'm just, oh man, how is this going to work? But basically what it is maximizing your days. His whole thing was getting 5 days of work done in 3 days. And then we joked that, can we get the other 2 off? But, anyway, so we just wanted to maximize our days, and the whole concept behind Chris's speech was starting with your thought process and your belief system that's created from a very young age. This kind of going to verge off of social media, but business and professional tips. So your belief system that starts at a very young age, and that's how your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions all produce specific results, and then how the language you're using and the beliefs you're using affect your day-to-day lives. And we spend the most time at work, so how these affect us at work. And once we were able to identify the language we do use at work, we can then change it to put more things as a priority. So an example is saying, oh, I didn't make time to do something, was more instead of saying I didn't have time, you really just didn't make time. So when you take accountability for saying something like that, you're kind of putting yourself on the spot, right. And then next time you're going to make it a priority. And the more things you make a priority, the more things you're going to get done in your day, and you're going to be more successful.
Language is so important when it comes to the way you talk to yourself about things and you talk to your colleagues about things, and when you talk to your clients about things. That would tie in there. Yeah,
and even, when we talk about language, there's positive language, but we're all victims and we're all guilty of using the negative language of when we speak. But one thing Chris had taught us was using the negative traits that you think are negative and think, wow, like maybe I think I'm aggressive, but it's like, oh, well, these aggressive traits help me get more things done, and I wouldn't get these done or be as powerful in my job if I wasn't this aggressive in this way. So learning how to rotate the language, rotate your accountability to realize that it is helpful for you in your job and your life. And all of these things, help to be more productive. I loved this. He used like an old pilot's analogy that says for a plane to fly, its lift and thrust should be greater than its weight and its drag. And so Chris said that if you evaluate the drag in your life and things that maybe aren't as easy or aren't as easy at work, and then kind of prioritize those and shift around the drag, then it's only gonna create more productivity. And then it's the same thing with your lifts, things that you're really good at, how can you keep increasing those as well to keep you positive and on track as well. So you're not always analyzing the bag and the negative, but the good things as well, the lift and the thrust. So that's pretty cool. Anyways, we want to talk about how we bring all of this into our business. Yeah. Well, as a social media agency, and I'm sure as of all of your businesses as well, time management is huge. So how we can use resources and tools to manage our days, to manage all the accounts, social media, clients, meetings, everything, team bonding, to have these days, which I'm sure your guys' companies have all of these as well, is the tools to manage all of this. Some of the tools we talked about was structuring your day better. And this starts from the second you wake up in the morning, not checking that email till you get to work, because there's nothing you're going to get done in that time. So you're going to be most productive if you're just getting up, showering, getting ready, having your breakfast, and coming to work, instead of getting up, getting on your email, then getting distracted and flustered and not getting anything done.
So I am so guilty of that.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm pretty good at this part.
like, don't want to toot my own horn over here.
Unless you guys are texting me, then I'll check it, but I won't check my email. Time blocking is also another really good
I do this.
Structure to have in place, which this is something I was not good at, because I would give myself huge time blocks to get like one small task done. And that was kind of hinging me by the end of the week. So I switched things around to say, hey, I have this huge time block, get a lot of little things done instead of like one thing, and then I'm crushed at the end of the week.
Yep.
So that's a big one that we all use here. Setting boundaries, that's when you're answering clients, when you're answering customer service or social media accounts. It doesn't have to be 24/7, although it's kind of our jobs, but
it is for us.
You can set boundaries. There's engaging, so these are kind of personal ones that just will make you happier in work in general, is engaging in hobbies that feel you, which is outside of work,
Yeah.
This is playing tennis, going to the gym, reading a book, meditating. All of these things really will affect, if you're spending time on you, will help your work life as well. It's kind of a good balance. The next couple things are silence. It sounds crazy, but sometimes just having that silence is really nice. We kind of talked about this week. I was like, I'm just going to not listen to podcasts or watch TV. Like, I'm just going to lay here.
Take a break.
Go to bed. Yeah. Because all day long, that's what we're doing. Music and videos and, social media and stories. So having that silence in your life is important. The last two seem real fun, but take a vacation.
Yay. Oh, good. That's good for me. Great. I'm going to do that.
Which I just did. And every vacation I've ever went on, I've had, I need a vacation from my vacation because I get worn out. Yeah. But this was the first time that I came back and I really felt like revamped and refreshed because I had enough time away. And so I believe in all of these things 100%. But the moral of the story is, I think taking time to do things with your team for your personal growth and your professional growth, it affects your business and it'll affect your company morale and your culture, and it's all really important to us here at KWSM.
And I think this actually really ties in really well. If you have ever been to one of our boot camps or watched any of the boot camps, Katie talks about when you're getting started of how am I going to even handle doing social media? It's like you're not doing it at all or you're kind of doing it.
Yeah.
She has a really good way of where it is really just structuring. It's the way that this is. And she structures that like you should take 15 minutes or an hour to just go, okay, this is when I'm going to block this out and get all of my stuff done this week. And that could be planning your post, creating a calendar, and really doing that blocking. And I think that this is a very helpful way to talk about that. This is all that structure within your day. So I think that helps. And I think you're right, being able to show off what your company is doing and really investing in your own people, and then you're going to see better results. So takeaways here, good things, all good things. Yeah, so just being, meditative and I think it's about being present in your day.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to talk about is if you're a business owner watching this and you're thinking, wow, how can I include these events and these professional development speakers? Well, most of ours just come from our community. KWSM is a big part in the Chamber of Commerce, and we go to BNI and a lot of board breakfasts around the city, and which does take time and effort, but that's where we meet a lot of other business professionals, and then that's when we meet them and invite them into KWSM. So that's just a good tip if you're looking for ways to get people into your company and how to find them.
And people within your company might know people.
Yeah,
I know like who might have something cool to speak on, or they've got a cool profession, even if it's like we're doing an impromptu yoga class.
Yeah, we've talked about all sorts of coaching. Our camera is moving.
Like, nope, no yoga. Cool. And so just a couple different ways to make your blogs cool, talking about this kind of stuff. And so the takeaway here today is being present and, investing back into your employees, and then talking about it to your clients and letting them see it and being visual with it, and watching Snapchat try and figure out what they're doing. Is what we're doing. Thank you so much for joining us this week at Social Media Help Desk. You can email us questions that you'd like us to answer at tips@kwsmdigital.com. Thank you guys for joining me this week, and we will see you next Tuesday.